Hey guys! I think every video I do from now on, I'm just gonna be hoping my mic is working. So again, let's pray it's working today. Today I wanted to do a video talking about the last two Bleach omnibus I read, obviously. I have read 16 to 21. It is these two. Let me see if I can grab this with one hand. No, okay. This is one of them. This is the omnibus for chapters 16 to 18. And then this one is 19 to 21. That's all I'm going to be talking about today. I already have the next two omnibus, chapters 22 to 27. I love the covers. This is how you know we are in a great arc. Honestly, I think for everyone, or for most people, Soul Society is everyone's favorite arc. It's one of my favorite arcs too, don't get me wrong, but I love the Arrancar arc. I love it so much. I am so excited to read this. I started reading already, but what I've been doing is I like to read a volume, at least one volume every time I sit down, and I was only able to get a few pages in. So I'm most likely going to be able to sit down and read today. So what I'm going to do is I'm probably going to restart this volume. This is most likely going to be a shorter video just because I'm not writing any notes as I'm reading this. Sorry. I'm wearing this sweater for the video, not because it's cold. It's actually kind of hot, and I don't want to take off my sweater. After the video, I'll take it off, but I'm sticking to it. It's not going to be that long of a video, unless I start rambling, which I usually do. But I'm not writing notes for this series. I'm kind of just letting myself completely just immerse myself in there and just enjoy it without feeling the pressure of writing notes. And I didn't write notes for the first, I guess, 15 chapters or 15 volumes that I read, so I don't want to force myself to start writing notes now. At some point I might feel compelled to, but just know I'm completely I didn't write notes for this video either, so I'm just talking to you about the thoughts I can remember that I had about what I read. Also because I'm enjoying this so much, so I want to talk about it. What I have posted about Bleach, you guys have been very receptive to and have been talking to me about it. I've been loving the conversations I'm having with people about Bleach. Even if it's just like how much we love Bleach, it's been making me so happy to have a community, because when I was like into the series, like when I was watching it, I had no one to talk to about it. I had no one to talk to about anime in general. So now posting about this, I'm getting people talking to me about specific characters and how just inside jokes about the series that I didn't realize were inside jokes. I just thought it was I don't know how to explain it. I was just laughing at myself realizing these things or pointing these things out in the series, and now I have all these people that I get to laugh at those same things with because they also realized it, or it's like a known thing. Really quick, if you don't want any spoilers at all for Bleach, don't watch this video because I'm not holding back. If I'm not gonna try and spoil in this video, but I'm also not gonna not try and spoil. I think I said that correctly. But one of the jokes that I found is a known thing in the Bleach community is Renji losing. I've been seeing so many reels of when you're trapped or you've been kidnapped and you hear roar Zapimaru and you know you're cooked, and that has made me laugh so much. Just this collective acknowledgement of how Renji is one of the coolest characters. Don't get me wrong, I love Renji, he's one of my favorite characters, but that man knows how to lose. If there's one thing that man does in this series, it is lose. And getting to finally joke about that with other people, or even acknowledge that that's I don't know how to, I feel like I sound so sad. I didn't have people to talk about these things with, or any sorts of things. So just having people to talk to about little things in the I was talking to someone about how cool Kenpachi Zaraki is, and that little conversation made me feel so happy that I was someone else was able to acknowledge that that character is cool with me. I never had something like that growing up, so it's made me feel so happy. So even if I make these videos about Bleach and I have nothing huge to say or nothing new to add to the conversation, but it gets more people to have conversations with me or just with all of us together about Bleach, I'm gonna keep doing it, because this has just been, we're gonna get off this mush fest in a second. This has been just such a healing time for me on the internet. I've been wanting to do these videos for a very long time. I actually had my boyfriend, when we started talking, I remember mentioning that I wanted to do this, and he was the first person that his only reaction was yeah, you'd be great. You'd be great at that. You should start. And it just made me feel like I don't have to feel embarrassed about this because the people I was around before him were, you know, whatever. And then I remember, like, there was a lot of people on the internet that helped push me too, and just seeing certain people on the internet start talking about these things really helped me. But then I also had someone that was my coworker and is now a very good friend of mine. I remember mentioning to her that I wanted to do YouTube videos, and she was another one that her only reaction was like, yeah, you should start. Like, that's a great idea. And that was such a big moment for me. Like, I actually, like, yeah, all I have to do is start. I'm gonna cry, so we're gonna move on. So we're gonna talk about 16 to 21, and I think volume 16 starts when, forgive me, I'm not great with the characters' names. I used to know how to pronounce all these names perfectly when I was watching the anime, but now reading the manga, it's not going that well with that. Toshiro Hitsugaya and Momo Hinamori. Volume 16 starts with both of those characters fighting. I believe it's when Momo finds the letter from Aizen saying that Toshiro is the one behind the execution. Oh my god, I can't remember already. Oh my god, I'm like sweating. That he's the one, like, he's trying to steal, not destroy, he's trying to steal for the execution. His goal is to steal that the whole execution of Rukia Kuchiki is to steal that, and Toshiro is behind all of it. So Momo is compelled to attack him and think that he is the enemy. So that's where we start off. I remember watching the anime, I didn't really care about this plot line because, again, it's the beginning, you don't really know these characters too well. Reading the manga, I have had such a different experience. At first, or I do still think part of it is because I'm older. I think I was 15 or 16 watching the anime, and I'm 25 now reading the manga. So there's a big change in perspective, obviously, but I thought it was just that I'm older, and that's why I'm having such a different experience. But I feel like there's been such a huge difference in the manga and the anime, and I did realize, like, I had been thinking about this for a while, so I have watched like a couple videos of people talking about it, and I have realized that it's a very known thing. Like, this isn't new. The manga and the anime are very infamously different. But I did realize just that everything feels so much more serious in the manga than it did in the anime. In the anime, I feel like there's so much more comedy relief. It made it fun, don't get me wrong, but I feel like it dwindled down certain characters to just being comedy relief. Like, even what's his name? I can't think of his name, but I'm gonna put something up here of him so you know who I'm talking about. So even that guy, I feel like in the anime was just comedy relief. That is all. Sure, there was that part at the end of the Soul Society arc where Rukia goes to apologize to them, but that's it. That's all we got that was really, like, serious about him. But I feel like in the manga, he's an actual fleshed out character with a personality, and he's not a main character by any means. He's maybe like relevant for a bit, but after that, he's kind of just in certain scenes because we know he's there. So even him, he is more fleshed out, and he is more than just comedy relief in the manga, rather than in the anime. I feel like he was just comedy relief. So I'm really enjoying that aspect of things being more serious. I also didn't know this, and I know you guys are probably going to think, like, how did you not know this? But I didn't realize filler was really only an anime thing. So I was like, oh, I have to get through all of these different filler arcs and filler episodes before, like, inside the manga as well. And I remember talking to my boyfriend about this, and he was like, what are you talking about? I had no idea you don't get filler in, like, you'll get some filler, like maybe a chapter here and there, but you don't get like those filler arcs, which means that I don't have to deal with the bounty filler arc. I think they were called bounties. God. I love the anime so much, and I am someone who is not a filler hater, but thank God I don't have to deal with those bounties again. So speaking of filler, another tangent, we'll eventually get to the story, I promise. I do not hate filler. I'm someone that I've thought about this for a while, and it kind of applies to whether I read the manga first and then watch the anime, or watch the anime and then read the manga. But I'm not someone that hates filler or will skip filler. If I read the manga where there's no filler, and I love the series and I love the characters, and there's filler, and then I watch the anime after, and then there's filler in the anime, I will be so happy, because these characters that I've seen in these like probably very serious situations or circumstances, I'm now getting to see in maybe less stressful situations, and maybe even completely fun circumstances. I feel like filler gives you a more rounded version of the character, where you get to see who they are outside of the stress or outside of the action and all of that. If I can get more of the characters I love, I'm never going to complain. And then if I read, or if I watch the anime and I watch the series with the filler and then I read the manga, I'm going to be happy too, because if I'm doing that, that means I love the series and I love the characters. So I got to see this whole full-fledged version of them with all of these different scenarios and these fun episodes, and seeing how they are, and just seeing who they are in these different circumstances that have nothing to do with the main plot. And then I get to read the manga where I don't get that. I get to just focus on them and their storyline. I love that too. So I guess just setting this in stone now, I'm not a filler hater. I'm perfectly fine with filler. But I did not know you don't get filler in manga. At least not as much as you get in anime. I didn't realize that filler arcs were just to give like the animators time to animate the main arcs. I hope I don't sound like an idiot saying this. Okay, so I remember watching the anime just wanting to see what was going on with Ichigo. Like I get it, there's other people doing stuff. Like, let's just get back to Ichigo. And I feel like this is more of a me problem. I don't do well with a lot of characters, a lot of points of views. I have a hard time remembering. Like, even now, I don't remember a lot of the characters that we're introduced to in this arc. But I know, like, eventually they'll be more cemented in my mind, especially certain ones. But reading the manga has been very different in that you are sitting in each scene. You have to read each manga panel. Each scene is broken up into manga panels that you have to go through. And that has made me sit more into all the side plots that are going on while they're trying to save Rukia. And it has made me feel the weight of all these other storylines. Even though they're all connected, I don't mean side plots or like smaller storylines, meaning they're not part of the bigger one. Like, obviously the Toshiro and Momo conflict has to do with Aizen, which has to do with the whole reason everything's going on. But what I mean is, like, right now, like, at least when I'm reading it or when I was watching it, my main focus was like Ichigo. What's going on with Ichigo? Where's Rukia? Is Rukia okay? So it's definitely a different experience now that I'm reading it, and I'm getting to feel the weight of all of these series or all of these plots. And so when this happens, I felt it more. I also know what ends up happening and what's going on, so I definitely feel it more because of that, but also just because you are getting more. You have to sit in each scene. That's where we start. I really enjoyed that. And I don't know if this is the first time or if it's before this chapter where you really get to see what a creep Jin Ichimaru is. I cannot remember what ends up happening with that character, like, later on. I remember from the very beginning that dude creeped me out. I remember wanting him to be good. So I'm like, maybe he's misunderstood, because I liked him when I was watching the anime. And the more they showed him, the more I was like, I don't think he's good. But I don't remember what ends up happening with his character. So also another thing happening right now in this volume is that Ichigo is training to learn, or to unlock Bankai, or to learn Bankai, or however you say it, or master it. And oh, Miss Yoruichi, I love her so much. I remember when the cat was introduced and we all thought it was a guy. I thought it was a guy, obviously. And then it's Yoruichi, and I was like, she's so cool. She is so freaking cool. So Yoruichi is facilitating Ichigo's training for the next couple days to be able to save Rukia. And then we see Rukia, her execution is moved up again to be the next day. So he has 1 day now. He's training with Zangetsu, and then Renji joins to the training, and he's like, oh yeah, execution's tomorrow, so that's why I'm here. I love Ichigo and Renji's dynamic. They're so... I remember every single time they were in a scene together, like, even when they're fighting back to back with each other, they are still such assholes to each other, and I love it. That's one of the things I love about their dynamic. But even when, I think it's at the end of this arc that Renji is thanking Ichigo, and it's such an earnest scene, and Ichigo of course responds like an asshole, and but honestly it makes the dynamic, like if it would have gone like Ichigo's earnest back to Renji and like, yeah dude, I got you, or whatever guys say to each other, the dynamic wouldn't be the same. It wouldn't be the same feeling, which I'm pretty sure there's some scenes where it is very earnest between them, but that hardly happens. I just want to say that their dynamic is one of my favorite. Like if I get an Ichigo Funko Pop, I need to get a Renji Funko Pop. I can't leave them alone. They need to be with each other. They're meant for each other. Anyways, and it's like already it was impossible for Ichigo to learn Bankai in like 3 days, I think was his original amount of time, and now it's like you have to learn it by noon tomorrow, and he's like, got it, no problem. Love that. Love his attitude, love his delusion. Honestly, I've always been kind of delusional in my confidence in myself, and I really think Ichigo is one of the main pillars that I got that delusion from, because not once is he like, am I gonna be able to do this? He's just like, if I have to do it, I'll do it. Who do you think I am? I'm Ichigo Kurosaki. I'm gonna get it done. Love that. Love that attitude. After that is when we get the flashback of Rukia and Assistant Captain Shiba Kaien is his full title. And also, oh my god, I do not know how to say this guy's name. He is Captain Jushido Ukitaki. That's the last time I'm gonna say that name, because I feel like I'm not saying it correctly. So if I say the captain, that's what I'm talking about. Get the flashback of who Kaien is to Rukia and what happened with her and Kaien, who looks exactly like Ichigo, and his attitude and how similar it is to Ichigo's, and basically him dying and how he dies because of a hollow. Hollow has this ability that he's able to destroy their Zanbakutos and also like go into a Soul Reaper's body and take over them, and she basically has to kill him, which obviously is extremely unfortunate. We get that whole flashback, as chaotic as I just explained that, and then we kind of get a bunch of scenes where all these captains are fighting with each other. This is when, okay, I'm gonna say their titles. The captain of 7th Company is still unaware of what's going on, so he's still fighting on the side of Aizen without him realizing it. But we get all these captains who are unaware of the bigger plot that's going on, or the bigger plan that's set in place, going and fighting the people that are on the side of the Ryoka, which is actually on the right side unknowingly as well. There's a lot of characters just unknowingly fighting on a side, so this is when everyone's still in the dark. This is one of those parts where watching the anime, I was like, okay, cool fights, really cool characters, got it. What's happening with Ichigo? Where's Rukia? That's going on in my mind. Reading it, you get a good chunk of just these characters fighting, and you learn so much about each character's background and their friendships and dynamics with certain characters and their fights. Okay, something I love about this manga, which makes me want to read the manga of more shonens rather than watching them, because when you're watching anime and you're watching fight scenes, you're watching the fight scene. You're on the outside just watching it happen. When you're reading the manga, it feels like you're in the fight. You are watching panel by panel the entire fight go on, every single freeze frame that you don't get to focus on watching the anime. So it makes every single one of these fights so much more like epic. We get all these different captains showing their bankai, fighting all these other characters. I don't think we really get to see the assistant captains fight. I think that's more just sprinkled in like one chapter here and there of the assistant captains. I think they're a little less serious, but the main thing is we are watching the captains fight. we are watching the captain of 7th Company fight Kenpachi Zaraki, and then we watch Tozen fight Kenpachi Zaraki, and we get that so like super cool epic scene where Tozen's Bankai, I think it's his Bankai or just something that he's able to do, where he puts you in like this bubble where it takes away all of your senses. You cannot smell, you can't hear, you can't see, you can't like there's no senses, and Kenpachi is still able to fight Tozen and cut him. And it I remember even watching that scene, I was so hyped, even though I wasn't that interested in all of these other side characters, in my opinion. Reading the manga now, that scene was so, I reread that chapter multiple times. I was like, my god. I mean, this is not an unpopular opinion, but Kubo is such a great artist and storyteller that in these scenes you can see when Kenpachi figures it out or like comes up with the plan to get Tozen. Even in that situation, you see him go through like fear and panic, and then you see him go through like calming himself down to figuring out a plan and then committing to it. And it is so amazing, even with just like their drawings. They're drawings and they're just panels, they're not moving, and yet you're still able to feel those things happen. You're able to almost feel a shift in energy just from these panels. And just a beautiful job of doing that. And that scene specifically was just such a great example of that. One of my favorite Kenpachi Zaraki scenes so far, other than him fighting Ichigo, which was awesome. I love that whole thing when Zangetsu is talking to Ichigo, explaining to him Kenpachi's sword and why it looks a certain way and what he's doing. I'm telling you, reading the manga now, Kenpachi Zaraki is one of my top favorite characters now. Anyways, chapter 17 starts off with Renji and Byakuya. I'm gonna say that horribly this entire time. But Renji and Byakuya fight the first time. With Byakuya, he puts up a great fight, and it's so much more like tension filled than with his fight with Ichigo, because him and Byakuya have history. Renji is extremely close to Rukia. He grew up with Rukia before she was part of the Kuchiki family. He watched her become part of the Kuchiki family. He has seen how Byakuya has treated Rukia, and he has seen how he's treating Rukia now that she's going to be executed. And then there's the class tension where Renji grew up very impoverished and Byakuya is one of the more wealthy families. So it's a lot more tension filled. The fighting is great. I love Byakuya's, like, there's a word for it. He has like no expression on his face for anything that happens. Very small changes in his expression when things happen. And him fighting is like, he doesn't even have to move. Granted, at this point, I hated him. Obviously that changes. You already know. But at this point, I hated him. I was like, what an asshole. I did not think he was cool at this point. I thought he was just a huge asshole. Which, I mean, he's still... His reasoning was like, whatever, dude. He's like, oh, I made a promise to my parents. It's like, yeah, whatever. If a man's gonna do one thing, is give you an excuse. And that's what he did. Anyways, we see Renji kind of feel defeated, and then we see him remember Ichigo and how he continued to get up while he was training, no matter how many times he was defeated. And he kind of like embodies that. I love the side-by-side panels that we get from that scene where he is true, like what he's doing is embodying Ichigo. Does he still lose? So we go back to the fighting. Okay, now is when we get that scene with Kenpachi Zaraki and Captain Tozen, where he takes away all of his senses. So that happens now. Then we are taken to Rukia's execution. We're just kind of seeing her get taken up, and we see the execution thing turn into a bird. They say it's unexpected, but then they just say like, oh, it's gonna impale the condemned. So it's like, is this how an execution goes, or is it unexpected? And then I don't remember if it's ever explained why it takes its true form. Whatever. We see Rukia kind of saying her goodbyes in her head, and then guess what happens? Spoiler. What a surprise. Ichigo comes to save her and is able to stop the immense power. Obviously, another dynamic that I absolutely love is Rukia and Ichigo. Just like, he's there to save the day. This whole thing has been him putting his heart and soul into saving Rukia, and he finally, like, at the last minute stops her from being impaled, and she's like, you moron. You absolute fucking idiot. What are you doing? He's like, are you kidding me? I absolutely love their dynamic. I love that there cannot be a scene where they are acknowledging what great friends they are and how much they care for each other. I just realized I've been talking for an hour and I'm not even done with the first omnibus. I'm so sorry. I'm gonna try and speed this along. Okay, so then we get Ukitake and Shinsui. I think those are the name. I think that's how you say it. We get them breaking the... It's not saying it again, so I don't remember what it's called, but the thing that they use to execute people. And obviously, no one knows why they did that. So everyone's like, oh, now you're criminals. Like, what are you doing? And so Ichigo, we see Ichigo get Rukia and literally tosses her like a football to Renji and is like, run. And we finally see him fighting Byakuya again. But so all these fights are happening at the same time while we're still getting random chapters of the assistant captains, by the way. Or not even, just panels, random panels of them fighting. The end of this omnibus is Yoruichi basically showing us, I may be old in years, but you ain't seen nothing. So now, after all this talking, now we get to the second omnibus. So the way that volume 19 starts is a flashback explaining Yoruichi and Soifan's relationship to each other and how they know each other and their history. And we basically find out Soifan was Yoruichi was her mentor. She felt very betrayed when Yoruichi left. It's so much deeper than that, but I've been talking for over an hour now and I need to get moving. We go back to the fight between Byakuya and Ichigo and we get a flashback to his training learning Bankai, because at this point we have not seen him. He is not unleashed or done, or however you say, he has not unleashed his Bankai. So we see the fight between them, and then we finally get the moment where he unleashes his Bankai, which, can I please say this? I was so underwhelmed when we finally saw Ichigo's Bankai the first time. I was like, that's it? You make this character so incredibly cool. You make him have the biggest sword anyone has ever seen. He's got this crazy big ego. He's so dramatic, and his Bankai is he gets a new outfit and a smaller sword. Whatever. Now I get it, but I remember just like, that's it. He looks cooler in his new outfit, so it's okay. So we see him fighting, and while they're fighting, we see Ichigo have his half mask. I don't know how to say it. I don't know the right words to use. So we see him fight. That's another, I remember, that is one of my favorite, like, things that are going on in the background. His hollow side, his hollowification. That is one of my favorite things. I dare say, I don't think I would have enjoyed the series as much if that wasn't part of the series, or if that was just, like, not brought up, or it was fixed immediately and it never got brought up again. That is one of my favorite things. I think that is so freaking cool. So I just wanted to say that. So he basically beats Byakuya. I think it's just like Byakuya is like, all right, you got me. We see him finally meet up with his friends again, Chad, Orihime, and the Quincy. And can I just say, I know that this is I'm gonna try to be quick. I know that this is something that is talked about often. This is not a new thing that I just discovered, but Orihime is so different in this manga. I already really liked her character in the anime, but I love her character in the manga. In the anime, she seems like she's just a ditzy comedic relief character that honestly, like, has a bunch of screws loose. And for like most of the anime, I'm like, why is she here? Like, what is she doing in the scene? In the manga, she is such an integral part of the entire plot, the entirety of everything that's going on. Like, I feel like what's going on would not be happening if Orihime wasn't there, because in the manga she is an actual character. She's still kind of ditzy, but in like a different way that you can tell she's doing it to protect her friends from her trauma, and just trying to like reassure her friends that she's okay. And I love how much more she actually cares for Ichigo, and we get to see it, as rather than in the anime. I feel like we just got to see like, oh, she's just scared of him, you know. I love that. So we get to see them finally see each other again after being separated in the beginning of this arc. This is also when Toshiro and Matsumoto see that the Council of 46 are all dead. And they've been all dead. They realize they've been dead this whole time. So all the times that Rukia's execution has been moved up has not been by their order. Momo is right behind them, seeing all of this. So Momo learns that Captain Aizen is still alive in this chapter, and this is the incredibly sad moment where Aizen kills Momo while she is hugging him, saying how happy she is that he's still alive. Oh my god. I remember, obviously, the beginning of the Soul Society arc, Aizen is shown as, oh, he was murdered. So he's not in any of this the whole time, even though his name is brought up in suspicion. He's not in this. So the whole time I was watching this for the first time, I was like, something's up here, but I have no idea what. And obviously he's depicted as like this sweet good guy that everyone has good things to say about. Obviously it's the whole thing of like his hair's all shaggy and he's got glasses on, so obviously he's a good guy. He wears glasses. And then he kills Momo, and that was the scene where I was like, is he maybe he's bad. And he reveals his Bankai to be a doll, basically, that he has the power of ultimate hypnosis. And then I can't remember her name. The one that the captain of the, I think it's the 4th company that is the healing squad. Her, I think, assistant captain, she gives out an announcement telling everyone what they just figured out about Aizen, Momo's dead, and the plan that he has, basically. So now everyone knows. The people that thought they were fighting for justice by fighting Ichigo and Kenpachi and all these people, now they know they're not on the right side. There's been this crime, and they told them about the Council of 46 and the reason for Rukia Kuchiki's execution. Now it's Ichigo and Renji fighting Aizen. They're both down on the ground. Aizen is incredibly powerful, and he takes Rukia and he starts to explain what's going on and why she specifically was the one to be executed, or why her execution was planned, and Aizen's overall plan. We get a little synopsis of Aizen's plan. He says he's still gonna kill Rukia, and he has every chance, but then he doesn't. He just gets the Hogyoku. I don't remember how to pronounce it, but the thing that he's looking for that was in her like soul cavity. No, and then after he does that, he's like, okay, kill her. And it's like, you got what you wanted. Why does she have to die? And then finally Byakuya saves Rukia by getting in the way of Jin's sword and getting stabbed himself. Dude, finally, you stepped up. Good on you. I hated you for so long. Thank you for changing that. I don't like hating a character. And Byakuya was one that I could not stand. And then we get the point where everyone is there. We get Yoruichi and Soifon teaming up, which I love that. I love both of them. I love their dynamic with each other. And Yoruichi is one of my favorite characters. So anyone that's good with her is good with me. But yeah, we get the scene where like everyone is finally teamed up together. I'm just going to show you this one. Teamed up together against Aizen, finally all on the same team, understanding what's going on and having all the information they need. This was such a point of relief that everyone's understanding what's going on, and finally people that are fighting each other that should not be fighting each other are no longer fighting. We see the tear in the sky of the what are they called, Menos Grande, and Aizen get taken up into that world. And this is where, and I'm going to show you, this is where he takes off his glasses, and it's like, oh, he's bad. He's a bad guy now. we get to where everyone is freaking out now, trying to heal everyone that was injured, Ichigo, Renji, Byakuya, and then we get the history behind Byakuya and Rukia, why she was taken into the Kuchiki family and why he has acted the way he has acted. And this is where we get the excuse of, oh, I made a promise, so that's why I was super down for your execution. And it's like, whatever. Now the rest of this is kind of just tying up all the loose ends, where we see all the characters like just dealing with the aftermath of all of this and trying to get back to normal. This is where we see like Rukia go and apologize for killing Kai and Chiba, but it's like now they understand the circumstances that led to his death. So she was killing a hollow, she was not killing their brother, you know, she basically saved them. I don't know why that I want to cry now. Every time I have read this scene, I read this a couple times because I was just so emotional, and then when I watched it, it made me cry so much because it's like she not only has held this guilt to these people for killing their brother, or in her eyes killing their brother, but they have blamed her for that for so long, and on top of it, she has been living with this grief of killing her mentor, someone that meant so much to her. To finally, like, we understand what happened, and it's like, no, like, there was nothing else you can do. You took him out of his misery, basically. And for them to finally learn that she didn't, like, kill him, she, like, saved him, and for them to forgive her, but for her to still feel the need to go and apologize, I don't want to cry. We see them go back to their world, we see them get ready for school, and we see, what's his name, Shinji Hiraku, get introduced to the story as a new student in Ichigo's school. And this is where it starts. The Arrancar arc starts. I am so excited for that. You have no idea how excited I am for this, mostly because some of my not favorite characters, the same way like Kenpachi is one of my favorite characters, and Ichigo and Renji and Rukia and Orihime and really all of them, but favorite characters as in they're so interesting and so cool, and like Grimjow, love him. And I always found, like I said, Ichigo's holification has been something like one of my favorite parts of the overall story. So this is where we get to really go deeper into that. So that's another reason why this is like one of my favorite arcs. We get to see Ichigo finally like interact with Shinji, and then my favorite thing, and this is literally like the end of the volume, is Ichigo's dad is revealed to be a super powerful Soul Reaper. Oh my god, I already said something about this. I was so ecstatic when this was revealed in the anime, and I completely forgot that this was a thing. While I was reading it, like before they even showed it, I was like, oh my god, that's right. And then they showed it, and I had a physical reaction. I had to put the book down and go, I'm so excited. And I was so sad. I had to wait days to get these next 2 volumes, and I have not had any time to really dig into them. God, I feel so excited. I honestly don't know how I'm going to read anything else but Bleach for a while. Okay, I'm gonna stop here. It's almost like 2 hours that I've been talking. It's funny that I said that this is probably gonna be a really short video because I didn't write any notes. This is the longest video I've ever filmed. I wonder how much I'm gonna need to cut out. I wonder how long this video is gonna be like at the end of editing. Oh my god, I can't believe I've talked for this long. I have things to do. I still don't have, I need to write like a script for me to say at the end of my videos, because I never know what to say. Like, you know, I know I'm supposed to say like, follow, subscribe, comment your favorite character in Bleach. That seems like a good one. You don't have to do anything you don't want to, so you can completely ignore that. I was gonna film another video today, but like I said, I've been talking for 2 hours, so this is it. I'm really enjoying this. Thank you so much for watching this video. Thank you so much for talking to me about this, for everyone that has. And please let me know if you're reading Bleach, or if you have or watched it. Let me know your thoughts. Let me know your thoughts about the Soul Society and what I should be most excited for going into the Arrancar arc, as someone that can't really remember anything about it. Okay, thank you so much. I'm gonna go. Bye.